Hello everyone, and thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. My subscriptions has went up. It went up from 58 to 111. If you like this channel, please go ahead, like and subscribe. On this channel I do a lot of comedies, but for this video I'm going to stop with the comedy and focus on 9/11 and on what happened on this day in 2001. Basically, I'm going to talk about the heroes of this day. So, let's get started. Maria Smith. Maria Smith was one of the first officers to report to the terrorist attack. When she saw the first plane strike the tower, Smith was a 13-year veteran and ran into the towers and began assisting to evacuate. She was calm and cool under pressure, which helped many people stay calm as well and helped them survive. The mass of people exiting the building felt the calm assurance that they were being directed by someone in authority who was in control of the situation. Officer Smith is credited with saving hundreds of lives that day, giving her own in the process. She was the only female NYPD officer to die on 9/11. She is survived by her daughter and her husband. Wallace Crowther was an investment banker working for Sandler O'Neill. He was on the 104th floor of the Second World Trade Center of the South Tower. When Flight 175 struck the South Tower, Crowther remained calm just minutes after the plane hit. He called his mother to let her know he was okay. He then began assisting others in evacuating, at one point carrying a woman down 17 flights of stairs, only to return to the 78th floor to continue helping others. Crowther made it out of the building and was running back when the tower collapsed. He was 24 years old. Mark Bingham. Mark Bingham was 31 years old and was the CEO of the Bingham Group, a San Francisco-based firm. On September 11, 2001, Bingham was seated in a first class on United Flight 93 when the hijackers rushed in the cockpit in an effort to crash the plane into the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. Bingham was 6'5", a rugby player, and had once disarmed a man before. Senator John McCain delivered a speech saying, "It is now believed that the terrorists on Flight 93 intended to crash the airplane into the United States Capitol, where I worked, the great house of the democracy where I was that day. It is very possible that I would have been in the building with a great many other people when that fateful, terrible moment occurred, and a beautiful symbol of our freedom was destroyed along with hundreds, if not thousands of lives. I may very well owe my life to Mark and the others who summoned the enormous courage and love necessary to deny those depraved, hateful men of their terrible attack." And by the way, everyone on that flight, Flight 93, was a courageous hero, getting the courage to stand up to those men and stop them from carrying out their plan. Every single one of them is courageous. Ronald Paul Buca was a fire marshal with 23 years on the job with the Fire Department, New York. An Army Special Forces reservist, Buca was known as the Flying Fireman. After a spectacular fall from the Tenant fire escape, Buca, a marathon runner, died responding to the 78th floor of the South Tower moments before it collapsed. He was the only New York fire marshal to be killed on 9/11. Rick Rescorla. Rick Rescorla was 62 years old and was a veteran of both the British and American Army, working in corporate security for Morgan Stanley Dean Witter on the 44th floor of the South Tower. When the tower was struck, Witter ignored the intercom instructions for workers to remain on their desks and immediately began assisting people in leaving. He called his wife Susan, who had been watching the attacks on TV. His last words to her were to stop crying. He said, "I have to get these people out safely. If something should happen to me, I want you to know I've never been happier." Rescorla then contacted a friend and asked him to call his wife to calm her down. He is credited with saving most of the lives of Morgan Stanley workers that day. His remains have never been found. Daisy the dog. A blind man named James Crane had a golden retriever called Daisy, the selfless rescue of almost 1,000 people from one of the collapsing World Trade Center towers. James Crane worked on the 101st floor of Tower 1 of the World Trade Center. He was blind, so he had a golden retriever named Daisy. After the plane hit 20 stories below, James knew that he was doomed, so he let Daisy go out as an act of love. With tears in her eyes, she started away. Daisy darted away into the darkness hallway, choking on the fumes and the jet fuel and the smoke. About 30 minutes later, Daisy came back along with James, his boss, who Daisy happened to pick up on floor 112, and about 300 more people out of the doomed building. But she wasn't through yet. She knew there were others who were trapped. So against her master's wishes, she ran back in the building on her second run. She saved 392 lives again. She then went back. James hears about this and falls on his knees. During this run, the building collapses. Again, however, Daisy makes it out alive, but this time she is carried by a firefighter. The firefighter stated that Daisy led them right to the people before she got injured. The fireman explained her final run saved another 273 lives. She suffered acute smoke inhalation, severe burns on all 4 paws, and a broken leg, but she saved 967 lives. The next week, Mayor Golani rewards Daisy with the Canine Medal of Honor of New York. Daisy is the first civilian canine to win such an honor. Now, there are reports of angels being involved in helping people survive. Now, if you're a believer, not a believer, this is just the stories of what people have said. As for me, I'm a believer. When the plane hit the North Tower and it collapsed, a man by the name of Richie was trapped. He was looking for a flashlight, but then he heard a voice say, "Richie, you ain't gonna find the light down here, brother." He spun around asking who was there, if it was NYPD or if it was the New York Fire Department. The voice replied, "A friend, I was helping people get out of the building. It's nothing to worry about." Richie told the voice, "We gotta get out of here now. The other tower is gonna come down soon." The voice replied, "Follow my voice. I see an opening. Just follow my voice. I'm heading up." Richie continued to follow the voice, and he saw the opening. He replied to the voice that he sees the opening, and the voice said, "Grab my hand." Richie saw the hand and grabbed onto it and was pulled out. However, when he looked around, he didn't see his rescuer anywhere. Janelle Guzman McMillan. Janelle Guzman McMillan worked on the 64th floor of the World Trade Center of the North Tower. She was trapped for 27 hours in rubble, believing that she was surely going to die. Trapped under concrete and steel, with her right hand pinned under her body and her legs crushed beneath her, Guzman McMillan extended her left hand into the sliver open space above her and found the strength to pray. Unsure of her fate, Guzman McMillan pleaded for hours with God to forgive her of her sins and give her another chance. I said to him, "Please God, if you save me today, give me a second chance. I promise I will do your will." Her hand still extended above her in the pocket of the open space. Guzman McMillan asked God to send her a sign that he had heard her plea. Someone grabbed her by the hand and called her by her name, saying, "Janelle, I've got you. My name is Paul." I was asking God for a miracle, for a sign, and Paul held my hand so tight and reassuringly. Within minutes of Paul's appearing, Guzman McMillan could hear rescue workers calling out for survivors. She remembers meeting the men who eventually pulled her from the rubble, but as for Paul, she never got to meet him. Guzman McMillan is convinced that the mysterious Paul was an angel sent by God to encourage her throughout her ordeal, that he was the sign she had prayed for. Now, this is just a handful of stories of brave heroes that were there that day. I'm sure there are many, many heroes that have not been mentioned. If you know any, and you have a great story to tell that happened on September 11th, 2001, please leave it in the comments below. And I'll see you again.